It has worked its way from a rallying cry at protests to a topic entering the mainstream conversation.
Maya, what's your understanding of defunding the police?
And now, Defund the Police has entered the 2020 presidential race. President Trump has been tweeting about it as a way to rally his base, trying to paint the Democrats, the left, and Joe Biden as radical. One huge issue with that is that Biden doesn't even agree with the sentiment himself.
No, I don't support defunding the police. I support conditioning federal aid to police based on whether or not they meet certain basic standards of decency and honorableness.
So that puts both of the nominees in an interesting position. Trump trying to use it as a fear tactic, while the left is going to work its damnedest to push Joe Biden closer to that stance. The politics of the movement are still in flux, but I did want to drill down into what the movement is actually about and what people mean when they say defund the police. To do that, I wanted to talk to someone completely outside of the political bubble.
My name's Alex Vitale. I'm a professor of sociology at Brooklyn College, where I coordinate the Policing and Social Justice Project, and I'm the author most recently of a book called The End of Policing.
Explain it to people. Does it mean getting rid of police altogether, like a bill passes to defund the police department and Officer Joe is out of a job?
No, definitely not. I mean, what we're talking about here is that in dozens of cities across the country, there have been ongoing campaigns to get local governments to readjust their priorities in very concrete ways. We're just spending too much money on policing, and we've given the police responsibility for too many things. And so mostly what this movement is identifying specific budgetary dollar amount and asking or demanding that be transferred over to community identified interventions.
If the idea is to eventually abolish the police or get rid of police as we think about it, what replaces police?
The defund movement is an outgrowth of the discourse around police and prison abolition, and I certainly would like to live in a world where we didn't have to rely on people with guns walking around in order to produce safety for us. So there is a kind of longer term vision or desire out there, but it's about, in practice, it's really about a process of saying that policing and prisons are inherently harmful, that they reproduce inequalities in our society along race and class and disability, and that what we need to do is concretely identify things that police do now and try to find non-punitive, non-coercive, non-violent alternatives to them.
So let's say there is a school shooting or there's a gas station that's being held up with a gun. Who goes to that if defunding police departments goes through?
But no one's calling for a situation in any foreseeable moment where there's no one to call. At the same time, we should understand that police response is entirely reactive after the harm is done, and police almost never arrive in time to actually interrupt something like that. We've relied on this model of waiting for something terrible to happen and then rushing police in as quickly as possible to shoot the suspect. And invariably, many have already died. What we need is an early warning system.
While people are talking about defund the police, it's more of like, defund the police and reinvest in something else, which, isn't as catchy, but it seems to get at what you're saying.
Yeah. So defund police is never about just reducing police budgets. This is about shifting funding to new priorities. It's a little hard, though, to put that on a cardboard sign at a protest or in a hashtag, and so there's a lot of misconception about this concept. There's a whole raft of things that we know right now what we could do differently. We don't need police in the schools. We don't need police to manage mental health calls. We don't need police to wage a war on drugs. We don't need them in charge of homelessness outreach. We don't need them criminalizing sex work. We have alternative evidence-based strategies that we could use. What's left at the end of that sort of chipping away at stuff? Well, that's an open question in my mind.